Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hopkins County's Innovate and Caffeinate on Wednesday morning. And we're pretty excited this morning because we have Eric Myers and his dojo that's going to be here to talk a little bit about his business and how long he's been in our community and all that he's done to contribute to our community. And I'm pretty excited about that. I've been in one of his lady self-defense classes before, and I'm looking forward to hearing all of the things that he does now. And in addition to, he's also, like the rest of us, made a lot of adjustments during the COVID pandemic. And so that's kind of a question I have for you. His main thing that he's done for our community lately involves families and our children's education. So in your business, I'd like for you to drop a comment or a tip or a thought on how your business has made adjustments for the moms or the other family leaders in your business that have obligations at home now with education and with learning. For example, at Hancock Bank, we made the decision, or Steve made the decision with our other upper management. He met with the moms to see what their extra needs were as they were taking care of their families, what we could do at Hancock Bank to help support them. Because let's face it, moms are kind of the backbone of our business. So he really talked to moms to see what they would need in addition to what they were doing at home. So we've been able to install Wi-Fi that's available to moms, which in a bank and security, we don't always have open Wi-Fi. So now they have Wi-Fi. Should their kiddos have to come and hang out at the bank for a while, they're still able to do their work. So I want you to drop a tip or a note or something that you've done in your business to help moms and to help support families here in our community while we're still conducting business and going forward. Anyway, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have everybody here today. We have Hopkins County, Murray, Callaway, Christian County, and I hope to see some Henderson folks on here too. We're so glad you all are here, and we're so glad to be able to share business where we can get together, support one another, strengthen each other's business as we go through all of these changing times. But you know what? I've found that the changes aren't so bad. I'm kind of enjoying some of the new things that we're doing in our business, and I hope you are too. So sit back, grab your coffee and some breakfast. I've got mine over here to the side that I've been chomping on. So let's listen to Eric and let's hear about another business here in Hopkins County that's making a way, and see how we can connect with Eric so we can strengthen one another.
All right, Karen, thank you so much for introducing. We have missed Karen Tapp on our morning shows. I'm calling them shows now. When you do this weekly, it just feels like an episode. So my terminology for Innovate and Caffeinate has kind of changed. So Karen is the MC for Hopkins County Innovate and Caffeinate. Her bank, Hancock Bank, is also a huge part of what we do and a sponsor for us. And we appreciate Karen, we appreciate Hancock Bank, and we were really excited to introduce to you Eric Myers. And so, Eric, one of the first questions that I have, because as I was creating this event graphic, I got on your website and I noticed that you have actually been in business since, what, 1995?
Correct. Yeah. 94, 95 is when we officially opened, and that location was in Catawba, Kentucky.
Okay. Well, I want to know, first of all, kind of the story of that. What made you decide to open a business, and what was the business model like at that time?
Okay. Well, you have to rewind to 1974. That's when I decided I wanted to be a martial artist. I was 4 years old, and my dad was a martial artist. I decided I wanted to do that. He started helping me learn, and fast forward, I ended up training locally for quite a few years, and then around 99, 2000. Yeah, I'm sorry, back up. 91, we moved to Paducah, and I started working there, and I trained with some school, an academy there, and I started working with them and working and training, staying out of trouble in my 20s. And my dad decided to move to Eddyville. When he moved to Eddyville, I was driving back and forth, so I stayed with him. I was smart enough not to move out, you know what I mean? And so I decided to move with him. And it finally got to the point where the drive was a little much to go from Eddyville to Paducah back and forth every day. So I started looking for work in the area, and I found some work in that area. And I decided to open my martial arts academy. And I started looking around, and I found a little spot in Catawba, it's New Catawba actually. Where it was is just to, matter of fact, it was in the bottom half of a Masonic temple, right across from their plastics plant, is where we opened up. And it's now an apartment complex. Last time I drove by there. But I opened that up 24 years old, almost 25. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. We had tremendous amount of success for someone that had absolutely no clue as to how to run a business. I had no idea what I was doing. I just did it. I just went after it. But the passion, I guess, for the martial arts itself kept me afloat. And we stayed really busy. We did, I don't remember back then what our numbers were, but I did quite well considering the years. But that wasn't the only thing. I had other work and stuff like that I did. So it was a side job. It was more like a side gig that I did on the side. But it was very lucrative and in that sense. Well, fast forward a couple of years, I found a place in Princeton, Kentucky. And I actually bought a building there, and I moved my academy into that. For a very short time, I had 2 locations. That was not wise with somebody trying to do it by himself. And we moved fully into the one in Princeton. And as a matter of fact, my wife and me lived above for a while, and we moved out. And I moved out of my dad's house and had myself a little apartment, become very independent, and started working there. And I worked in Princeton. I had a job there, and it just kind of become a little more than part-time, but it was still part-time. And the world just kept God kept pulling me back home to Madisonville. And I ended up with a job here. And I was teaching at Princeton, and I'm living in Princeton and driving to Madisonville. And that's a bit of a haul too. And of course, my wife and I finally found a house here in Madisonville. We bought a house, settled in, and I still had the school in Princeton. And so I was driving over there a couple of days a week and still working. So I just knew that was not happening. So I finally put the building up for sale, sold the place ultimately. But while that was going on, I actually started teaching here at the YMCA. So I actually had a 1-day-a-week program at the Y for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then we outgrew it. We started growing very quickly. And I was looking for more days a week to be able to offer more classes and things like that. Well, then I partnered with Penny Ryle Gymnastics. And I ended up partnering with Miss Leanne. I love her to death. She's an amazing lady. Worked with her for quite a few years as a sublease from her. And that was the day I decided to go full-time. I just decided to stop doing part-time classes and just went full-time. And so I started taking on students of all kinds, all ages, and different curriculums and different things that I could offer. And that's kind of how it started. And then, again, God moved again. And right before, it's interesting how the timing worked out. I started noticing a place on South Main, which is a mile from my home, that was available. And I was like, I'm interested. I wonder how much that costs. And it was very reasonable. And I made the shift. And as soon as I moved out, Miss Leanne moved into her new facility. So it was like she was planning on that. And she was not going to have room for me when she moved into her new facility. So it worked out perfectly for both of us. She's got her facility, I got mine, and thank God both of us are still open and still successful today. But I went into the South Main location, right between Heights Finance and now where Manpower is. I was right there for 15 years. I stayed there for 15 years and grew and grew and grew, and I kept doing pretty good. And then I found a new mentor, and he's very challenging and very awesome guy. He goes, "You need to grow." I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You need a bigger building." He goes, you're going to outgrow that in no time." I'm like, "What?" I mean, it was, I think it's 1,600 square foot that I'm in. And he goes, no, you're going to outgrow that. I was like, "Okay, what do you mean?" He goes, "You just start looking." And I started looking around town, and I started looking at buildings and just driving around. And it's funny because if you open the back door to where I just was, that's where I'm at now. So you open the back door, and it's the former G&P location on South Main. It's originally the G&P alternator shop, and I think Todd's Gymnastics was in there for a while, and it was a boot factory for a short time. And then when the boot factory left, it was empty for quite a while, and I just didn't think about it. Didn't even think about it. And he challenged me to go grow, and I looked out the back door one day, and I went, "That place is empty." And so I made the phone call, same landlord. A couple of phone calls later, this is our beginning. We're halfway through our third year at that location. So now we've been there, and we've expanded our programs drastically into up until March 20th. We expanded drastically.
Right.
And we had all kinds of, we still do. We still got all our programs. It's just right now everything's kind of scaled back, but it's ready to revert back to our normal standards. But we ended up there. We've been there for now we have almost 5,000 square feet. So
sorry to interrupt. One of the things that I realized we kind of touched on right when we introduced you, Karen mentioned classes that she's taken from you in dojo, but for all the people watching that maybe we didn't explain well enough, tell what it is that Warrior Martial Arts actually does. Like you have a few different brands included in that. So as they hear you talking about classes and locations, kind of give just a quick overview of what kind of brands are within that.
Well, Warrior Martial Arts Academy is our own system of self-defense programs that we offer. It's a hybrid system of martial arts, various styles that heavily leans towards two primary systems, which is Krav Maga, which is an Israeli self-defense system, and Gracie Jiujitsu, which is a Brazilian style by way of Japan. It's a Japanese traditional art that comes through Brazil to the United States, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's our two primary core systems, but we have multiple other martial art influences in our programs. I happen to be a black belt in over 15 different styles of martial arts. So we incorporate a lot of strategy and a lot of philosophy into our systems. But what we try to do is make things practical while still being very fun and safe to learn. And definitely the key word I want to remove from training is boring. Some of the martial arts that I grew up studying, I'm the guy that's an addict. I'm an addict. I'm a martial arts geek. So things that are boring to most people are not boring to me. When it comes to martial arts, I'm just hooked on it. But I do realize that some of our clients and some of our age levels of clients, certain things that were in classical martial arts are just not going to work for them. So we adapted everything, and we have a mowing crew coming up here, so our neighbor. So anyway, so it's going to get loud probably. Anyhow, the system that I kind of backed up and regrouped on was to kind of make things age appropriate and learning level appropriate. Also, we have a kinder program, which is ages 3 to 5 year old, preschool to kindergarten age, and that program does not encompass life defense tactics. They don't encompass really serious self-defense skills. We don't worry about that with them. We want developmental skills. We want coordination. We want respect, discipline, focus, honor, all of those things to be brought out of the child before we don't want him to be able to do a backflip up into a tree, you know, and be a ninja or nothing like that. It's just, we want to have fun. We want to encourage, mentor, and bring those warrior traits out of a kid. That's why we chose the word warrior martial arts. A warrior trait is respect, honor, discipline, courage, okay, and integrity. Those are serious words to a warrior because they mean a lot. And it means more than fighting. It means I learned how to fight so I don't have to fight, so I can be the person I want to be and not be afraid of being myself in front of anyone. So that's a warrior trait. So anyway, the 3 to 5 year old program, what we call Little Warriors, they have their own curriculum, sort of. It's similar to the adult curriculum in some ways, but we know how they learn. You know, we know their learning capacities. We know that if we don't change the drill every 5 minutes, then we lose them. You know, so then their attention span is that long, so we want to make sure they're constantly enjoying themselves and having a good time while they're learning. Because children at that age learn while they're playing. And so we want to make it fun. And then we have the next age group, which is Junior Warriors, which is ages 6 to 9. And the 6 to 9 year old group, they start getting a little more serious about their martial arts training, but they still learn by play. They're still in that learn by play mentality, but it's a little more accurate to what self-defense is. So we spend a little more time, precision on skills development than we do the little guys. And then, of course, it's a similar curriculum, but then we move up. We have what we call Super Juniors. Super Juniors is ages 10 to 12. And it's pretty much exactly like our adult class, except it's kid-friendly. Okay? But they're 10 to 12-year-olds, so we put a little more on them. We expect more out of them, but it's still the same traits. The warrior traits that I just mentioned are still in that program, in that curriculum. And then we have, of course, our teen adult program, which is extremely heavily influenced by Krav Maga, Israeli self-defense, which is almost 100% Krav Maga. And I'm going to have a neighbor start yelling because that's just what they do. And it's going to get funny. If you can hear them, just nod your head in a minute, okay? So anyway, that particular curriculum is pure self-defense and fitness. Okay, that particular curriculum, the Teen and Warrior program is that, and it's a lot of fun. It's high energy, heart rate gets built up. It's not about winning tournaments and fighting in MMA or any kind of tournaments at all. This is about the individual, one person, your journey, and we want to teach you how to defend yourself against unwanted attacks in this world. Okay, that's the goal. And then we have a secondary curriculum that's my pet. This is my personal favorite. I've been doing Gracie Jiujitsu for over 20 years. I've been training with the Gracie family, various ones, and I've been with Master Pedro Sauer, my direct teacher, for over 15 years. And it's a Brazilian style of jiu-jitsu, grappling. It's more like wrestling and judo. To people that don't know what jiu-jitsu is, it's more like wrestling, but it's not wrestling, okay? It has not as much kicks and punches as you would think. We still wear pajamas, but we choke each other with our pajamas. It's a little different, but it's safe, it's respectful, it's probably one of the most mentally developing martial arts, problem-solving. Can you hear those guys? Okay,
no,
good.
I don't hear anything. You're good right now.
I got a weed eater going over here. So, but the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is my personal pet. I've been doing it forever, and I'm a black belt under Master Pedro Sauer in that particular art. And to kind of say that, like I told you before, not to brag, this is not a brag, 15 different black belts, and the most complicated one I did was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That took me by itself 18 years to achieve.
Wow.
So that's why it's my pet.
I bet.
Something that I've been doing so long, and it's all about leverage over strength, and it's about the small person overcoming the big person. It's meant for the little person in the fight. And it's, you know, always working from the negative back to the positive. You know, like if I'm always assuming that I'm going to be the smaller person in the fight, which at 5'5", that's pretty much a guarantee. So what jiu-jitsu teaches me to do is know that I'm probably going to be on the bottom of a situation. So it helps me know that I don't have to be stronger. I don't have to be faster. I don't have to be tougher. I just need to learn the right techniques. And I can actually survive, key word, survive situations like that. I don't necessarily look to win. Winning is in a combat situation is very, to me, it's non-existent. There's no such thing as winning. There's a defeat and then there's a victor, I guess, but winning, everybody gets hurt in a fight. Everyone. So if I can get out of that situation alive, that's a victory. That's what I teach in jiu-jitsu. So that's why we have so many women do our jiu-jitsu program, because it's very good for the smaller person, the smaller stature. You know, it's not physically imposing. Okay. It's kind of neat in the jiu-jitsu world. You'll have there's a meme that has this guy that looks like a bodybuilder. He's gigantic, huge, muscle-bound guy. And then you have this little guy that looks like a computer geek. And in reality, that's a jiu-jitsu world champion and an amazing jiu-jitsu practitioner. And it says, what the normal society is afraid of, what jiu-jitsu people are afraid of. You know, we see the guy and you see his ear kind of mauled up a little bit and he's wearing glasses and he looks like a computer geek, and you're like, that guy will maul you. You know, if you roll with that guy, he's going to maul you. But if you roll with this big giant bodybuilder, he's going to gas out in 30 seconds and you're fine. So
well,
that's the systems. And then the second program that we've launched, second division, is our Warrior Kids program. The Warrior Kids program is also the martial arts programs that we have for children, but we've branched into after-school programs and summer camp programs, and now we're an e-learning facility so that parents can actually go to work and do their thing and not have to worry about their children doing their homework during their schoolwork through the day. So we do after-school pickup service where we pick up at Hopkins County schools that are in reach, and we transport, we bring them in our buses, our little minivans, or not minivans, but church vans, basically. We bring them into us, and they spend the afternoon at our academy in a productive environment. They do their homework, they do martial arts, they do cheer, they do gymnastics, well, tumbling, not gymnastics, and arts and crafts and all kinds of fun stuff that we have scheduled for them on a weekly basis. Pizza parties, all kinds of good stuff. Well, and then we do the same thing for summer camp, so the moms and dads can drop them off just like they normally do for school, and they hang out with us all day. And we have water balloon fights and kickball and indoor sports, outdoor sports, all kinds of things all week long. Field trips normally, this year wasn't so much for field trips. But then we have now the e-learning, where it's a lot like our summer camp, but the first portion of the day is schoolwork. So the kids come in, we have facility for them to log into their schoolwork. So we have pods for them, the groups of kids, so that they can log in and actually get all their work done, monitored by adults. Many of them are former daycare workers, school teachers, things like that now work for us. So it's a neat, you know, so we have adults, myself, a fantastic team of individuals that work for Warrior Kids. And I think it's amazing, because I never dreamed as a martial artist that I would be like helping kids in another way, but we're still using integrity, discipline, respect, courage, all of the attributes of the martial arts, but we're doing it through schoolwork now, and we're doing it through summer camp activities now. And so it's heartfelt. I enjoy it.
We can. No, you're good. I don't hear anything.
Good.
You know, I have been scribbling down notes while you've been talking because you keep touching on things that I want to know a little bit more about, and we've got a little bit of time left. So, you've already kind of touched on the e-learning, which I knew was going to be a big thing that I just think is incredible, and that our Innovate and Caffeinate team really thought was incredible, that you have launched this in the midst of the pandemic. One of the things that every week on Innovate and Caffeinate, we learn from entrepreneurs who are innovative and adapting, and that is an incredible way that Warrior Martial Arts is adapting. But one of the things that you mentioned at the very beginning was about your mentor. And as an entrepreneur, kind of a entrepreneur family, but then once again, you're still a self-taught entrepreneur. You have to learn by mistakes,
Yeah.
learn through life. So how important as an entrepreneur is it to have a mentor?
I've always had a martial arts instructor in my life, so I know about mentors my entire life. But I always thought that's where the end of the road was for mentorship, that everything else was you're on your own, okay? Until I met the guy that I work with right now, and it's a big mastermind. It's a group of individuals that are like-minded, that run businesses like my after-school program. And there's like literally a couple of 300-400 of us in this organization that I can call any of those guys and gals that run these businesses and get ideas from. Or I can bounce an idea off of them and go, hey, what are you guys doing with this? How are you guys doing internet for e-learning? And now they're asking me because we've got the smartest version. We did the best. But they ask me now, and so I'm asking them. But my main mentor, Dwayne, when I get a weekly meeting with them as a group, and then I get a monthly meeting one-on-one with that guy, and it's changed who I am. Not just what I do and how I do it, it's changed who I am to the better version of myself. By having a really quality mentor that will not hold back when he sees, for lack of a better word, when he sees you throwing out some BS excuses and he calls you on it and goes, what are you doing? And you go, thanks. So, but I want to break through barriers. And I didn't realize that's what I was doing. I had myself mentally blocked on different levels. And that was because I was without a mentor. And without a mentor, you're capping yourself. You have a mentor that goes, hey, quit that. Stop. And he opened my eyes to something called, and this is pretty neat stuff. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of neuro-linguistic programming. Have you ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
Neuro-linguistic, big stuff. Neuro-linguistic program, we do it to ourselves. And we also do people actually, but on ourselves, we have this thing we call LVS, Little Voice Syndrome. Okay? And he opened my mind to mine, one of my major ones, and it removed it. To recognize it, once I saw it and realized my personal self-inflicted limitation, I notice it. It's still there, but I know it now. And before, my little voice would talk to me and talk me out of stuff and talk me out of doing it that way, or talk me down off of that you can do it mentality. No, calm down. Who do you think you are? It would do that. And he taught me how to recognize that voice in my head, in my life. And then I kind of, now he still speaks, but now I go, dude, sit down, shut up. You're not in charge. I am. And that helped take the lid off of my success. I don't know if you've ever, some of the, you know who Zig Ziglar is, I'm sure. Okay. He taught a thing called the lid factor. And the lid factor was you could take fleas, you can train fleas by putting them in a jar and putting a jar lid on it, and they would jump and hit the lid. And eventually, they stop hitting the lid. They'll jump just high enough but not hit the lid. Well, then you could take the lid off and they'll never jump out. They'll stay in the jar. Well, that's what we do to ourselves. We put a lid on ourselves. We put a cap on what we're capable of. And with a quality mentor, you can remove the lid. The difference is for the longest time, you'll still jump to the lid level, even with a mentor. But the mentors took the lid off, let you know that, hey, the lid's not there anymore, but you'll still stop. Self-destruct. You'll self-destruct yourself. And with continued mentorship, that person will teach you how to jump out of the jar. Okay? How to get out of that jar. And that's what my mentor does for me. And I suggest any person that's in business, whatever model, find someone that it's not salesy or guru-y or weird, but just sound business practices. And that's what I've done. And it's changed my life, my family's life. I would not have survived COVID situation to the point we're at now without a good mentor.
That's
Wouldn't have
incredible. We had a little bit of technical issues in the middle, so I'm not really sure what time frame we're at right now. So if we've gone over a few minutes, I'm really sorry. But, you know, one of the things that we love about this Innovate and Caffeinate series is the passion that exudes from entrepreneurs. We all want to love what we do, but in listening to you as to why you started, when you started, the different types of classes that you have, the amount of work and thought that has gone into each class that you have with each grade, with each age group, and what you want to teach them above and beyond martial arts itself is incredible. And, you know, we always kind of talk about for other entrepreneurs advice. And I think, you know, going down this lane of mentorship is an incredible thing for everyone listening today to be able to hear and to take to heart. You know, Innovate and Caffeinate in person pre-COVID was really an opportunity where entrepreneurs could bounce ideas off of each other and help give some of that advice. And so hopefully one day we will be back in person to be able to have that face-to-face. But until then, find yourself a mentor. Take Eric's advice and understand that as you know, it's kind of the process of lifelong learning. You know, as you grow yourself as a person, your business will grow as well. And, you know, Eric is obviously proof of this as he has grown his business through the years. But then as he touched on, especially during COVID, of adding e-learning, something that, you know, Karen discussed at the very beginning of what are you doing for the parents in the community? And Eric's business has done this. And so I think we are pretty well out of time. I'm trying to kind of watch my time here. I think we are pretty well out of time. But Eric, just one last really quick question. What is your best marketing?
Best marketing, most used marketing that I do is through Facebook.
Okay.
I use Google and Facebook a lot. The best is a mixture of word of mouth, referrals, and of course, Facebook, Google. But I think the best is a little bit of everything. Nothing always works, but everything works. You know, not one thing works the best, but everything works.
Right.
And so I think a lot of marketers, when you're marketing, I do a lot of Facebook marketing. We spend a lot of time on, they want to hit the one out of the park. And I think that's ambitious. Instead of focusing on hitting one out of the park, why don't you just get one new client and use whatever means necessary? You know, use handout flyers, use word of mouth, use Facebook groups, use Google, use YouTube, all of those tools that are available to us. Just don't do car flyers. I hate that. Everybody hates that.
They do hate that.
So just don't do that. I think that's the one that's just done. But everything else, I think you should just try a little bit of everything and just consistency. Be consistent. Don't disappear and then come back and spend a fortune on an ad and then go, well, I spent $2,000 on this ad and I got one client. That's because you haven't been doing anything for 6 months. I didn't quit advertising during COVID. So you got to keep up. Well, again, Zig Ziglar, have you heard the pump theory? Heard his pump theory? His pump theory is to get the water flowing from a pump, you got to work really hard to get the water to come up, right? But once you get it going, all you got to do is just keep it going. just a little bit. Don't take much. So it's the same way with marketing. If I got to spend a little bit, I got to put effort and energy to get it going. But once I get it going, I just got to keep it going. And it doesn't take as much money. It doesn't take as much time to keep your ads and your contacts and your referral programs all working and going. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in today. Eric, thank you so much for being on the show of sorts, being on this session of Innovate and Caffeinate. For those of you watching, make sure to tune in next week for Innovate and Caffeinate. This one will be sponsored by Murray-Callaway County, and I believe that it will be Brad Flowers, who is our presenter, and he is actually from Lexington, Kentucky. So we are reaching people all over Kentucky. We invite you to tune in, go to our Facebook pages, join our email list. That way you get updates every week. And if you're watching from another community and you are interested in hosting your own Innovate and Caffeinate, you can contact me, Melanie Tapp. My name is on the screen with my email address. So contact us and let us know if you're interested in joining. And otherwise, we will see you next week.